Do you see this as a plan or just as a part of the globalist utopian, ideologically blind stupidity? Because I mean, farmers do pollute. There is runoff from fertilizer. It does cause algal blooms, for example, in the water, and these are problems. I don't think they're insurmountable problems. You know, we don't want to go there without questioning that presumption. I always think if you can explain it with stupidity, you don't have to explain it with malevolence.
Right, so what they're saying is, if you weren't aware, Bill Gates is buying up the most farmland that anyone's ever bought up before, ever. And he's saying he's doing it to avoid climate change and global warming. Now, let me break this down for you, because a lot of people aren't even aware of this and they still believe in this global warming scam. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Mazarin Veronica, and I'm back with another reaction video today. So this video really sparked my interest because it's something that I talk about very often. I'm very vocal about it. And the video is titled Jordan Peterson Exposes Bill Gates' Plan. Which I've actually done on live TV before, on a Talk TV interview. You may have seen it. And yeah, I'm very excited to see what Jordan Peterson thinks of this, because I didn't actually know he spoke about this before. I didn't realise he was that aware of what's going on with Bill Gates. So yeah, really interested as to what he's got to say. I've never watched this before, so it's my actual first time seeing it. And yeah, let's see what he's got to say about Bill Gates.
To what end, Michael? Like, I read about, you know, the notion that we need to, you know, turn to plant-based foods and insect-based protein in the future, and that, you know, meat production and all the cow methane are contributing to the degradation of the environment. But like, what do you see this as a plan or just as a part of the globalist utopian, ideologically blind stupidity? Because I mean, farmers do pollute. There is runoff from fertilizer. It does cause algal blooms, for example, in the water, and these are problems. I don't think they're insurmountable problems. But you're pointing to something that's more malevolent and deeper and programmatic, and you know, we don't want to go there without questioning that presumption. I always think if you can explain it with stupidity, you don't have to explain it with malevolence.
Well, as you know, be careful with that one, because sometimes we do have to go to malevolence in this
I know we do, yeah.
And I watch your show enough to know you know exactly why this is happening. And let's talk about this. If the Dutch farmers, let's take this as a premise, are the most efficient in the world, or let's just say they're the second most efficient, why would you knock them out of the saddle to get somebody else to produce the food? Where, Indian farmers? I mean, who's going to produce this food in a much less efficient way that would create even more pollution? This is clearly about control. Also, there's something that you never hear in any press that I've heard in the United States, is the tri-state city. Tri-state city is this smart city that they're proposing to build between the tri-states or Belgium. Is this smart city that they're proposing to build between the tri-states or Belgium, Netherlands, and Germany. So this mega city, basically, that would take up all this farmland in that area, and which would bring huge amounts of more people into this area, right?
Right, so what they're saying is, if you weren't aware, Bill Gates is buying up the most farmland that anyone's ever bought up before, ever. And he's saying he's doing it to avoid climate change and global warming. Now, let me break this down for you, because a lot of people aren't even aware of this and they still believe in this global warming scam. Global warming has been made up by billionaires in order to scare us into handing over our freedoms, because we think that the world's going to end if we don't. And fear makes people very easy to control. So when you're scared of something, especially the world ending, because that's like probably the scariest thing a person can imagine, people will be much more happy to hand over their freedoms if they think that there's a solution being offered to them in return. So what these billionaires are doing is they're saying, listen, They created a problem by creating this scam, which everyone's scared of, because they're scared the Earth's going to collapse if we don't do something about it because of global warming. They've created this scam. Can I just say, the climate has changed since the beginning of time. The Earth fluctuates in temperature. It goes from hot to cold in cycles. That's happened since the beginning of time. Think about the Ice Age, right? That was a time where the entire Earth was literally made of ice, pretty much. Now we're in a period of warm. But actually, at the moment, we're in a period of cooling. So the Earth is actually currently cooling down. In the past few years, I don't know exactly how many years, but the past years that we've lived, it was in a period of heat, so we were getting warmer. The Earth was getting warmer naturally. We're actually currently in a cooling down period, so it's quite funny they're talking about global warming when we're noticing the temperatures are actually lower than ever. Well, not ever, but lower than we've seen in a while. And they are still trying to push this global warming scam, even though we can literally see that the Earth is cooling down, and scientists are commenting about it. Even one of the founders of Greenpeace, he's called Patrick Moore, he said this, and I quote, "In fact, the whole climate crisis, as they call it, is not only fake news, it's fake science. There is no climate crisis." And this is the truth. Like, even the founder of Greenpeace, which is like a climate charity, and at the time he thought it was a real thing. He was actually scared, and he was, trying to find solutions. But now he's realized it's fake, so he's removed himself from it. And even he is saying that the climate change thing is a scam because the climate is changing, yeah, but it's always going to change. And there's nothing that humans can do to have an effect on the Earth's temperature. It's just not a thing. The whole greenhouse gases thing, it's all a scam and it's fake science. It really is. There are so many climate scientists talking about this. So what he's saying is that Bill Gates is buying up farmland because he's saying that the farmers are causing global warming. And what's he going to replace this farmland with? So all the food we're getting, all the food that the farmers are growing, that the farmers are producing, like cows they're growing, cattle they are slaughtering for food, apparently it's causing global warming because of the methane that the cows are producing and, greenhouse gases, and it's causing the Earth to get warmer. It's such a scam. It's really not true. But he's buying up this farmland because, again, it's like billionaire philanthropy. He is pretending he is doing something good. He's pretending he's saving the world, when really he knows that he's scaring us further, and we think it's a solution. So we're like, oh yeah, go ahead, Bill Gates, buy up all the farmland. You have the solution. We're going to give in to you. We're going to submit to you, Bill Gates. When really he's buying up the farmland because he wants to control our food supply, and he wants to be the one to make our food and produce our food, fill it with poison, make us all ill, make us all depend on, big pharma because we haven't got enough iron in our bodies because we're not having beef anymore, real beef, because he is pretending he's selling beef to supermarkets and fast food chains, but when really it's fake beef. It's fake meat. I'm telling you now, they're going to be selling fake meat to fast food chains and supermarkets, and we're going to think it's real meat. We're going to eat it, but really it's going to be made up of chemicals. If anyone didn't know what's happening, they probably think I sound crazy. But seriously, it's a thing and it's happening right now. And I'm just trying to say it in normal terms so that you guys understand what's really going on, because I've really looked into this. And yeah, he is buying up the farmland to control our food supply under the guise of climate change, to pretend that he's finding a solution to the global warming crisis, when really that's all a scam. Anyway. Let's get back into the video because I went on a rant.
So the tri-state city is something you don't hear much about, but that's another part of this plan. There was a fire about maybe 10 days ago. I went to it right after the next morning, and it's at a picnic distribution center, which is there was an investment, $600 million into this picnic food distribution center from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, coincidentally, and it burned down, right? And so, that brought raised some eyebrows. Why did that thing just burn down? There's many of them. There's others in Netherlands that are growing. But the bottom line is the Bill Gates is buying up farmland, as you know, all over the place.
I know. He is the biggest private landowner in the United States right now, and the land that he's buying up, he's taking out of food production. And it seems to be because he's obsessed about meat production, at least in part, doesn't believe that that's part of a sustainable future. And so, but I do share your skepticism. It's the same thing happens on the bloody energy front. It's like, well, Australia won't build coal-generating electrical plants, but they'll ship their bloody coal to China, where they're going to build much dirtier plants. And the same thing applies to Canada. If we shut down our energy industry, which our bloody, insane, narcissistic, delusional, traitorous prime minister happens to think is a good idea and seems to be working as hard as he can to manage, all that's going to happen is that we're going to cede the ground to people like Putin, who we also turned into a radical enemy with his hands on the control pump for Europe. I mean, I don't see how we could be stupider here in the West if we actually took courses in stupidity and tried as hard as we could. We seem to be doing everything we can to break everything as rapidly as possible. And then I wonder too, has it got to the point where the people who think, that you can't make an omelet without breaking a few eggs and there's too many people on the planet think that this is some sort of like needle's eye that we have to go through, all this mass starvation and death so that we end up with a sustainable population? I mean, Jesus Christ, that's a dim and grim scenario. But as you said, why would you take the Dutch farmers out of business when they're so unbelievably hyperproductive and efficient? It's not like there's too much food, especially not if we don't have farmers.
If anything, I would be trying to get a large agricultural institute here in Netherlands to teach other farmers how to be as efficient as Dutch farmers are. Replicate these farmers. In Afghanistan, actually, many of the farmers coming over, I was out in the farms quite a lot, were actually Dutch farmers to teach Afghans how to do things better. But the bottom line is, as you can see, there is a huge, I watch you all the time, you know what's happening. There's a huge authoritarian, the desire to have a one world order is clearly strong. And this isn't the first time it's happened. As you know, it's a constant in human behavior. And also, as somebody who studies the human psyche a lot, as you do, you realize pulling these farmers off of their traditional farms unroots them. It cuts their anchor, their boat anchor. They're going to be drifting, culturally, so that makes them much easier to, you can't control farmers well. That's why Stalin wanted to get rid of the farmers. Stalin had to get rid of those farmers because farmers have a mind of their own. Same with Mao. You got to get rid of those farmers because they think for themselves. And likewise here, these Dutch farmers think for themselves. And so they're the bad guys.
Yeah, this is the thing. People don't learn from history. So all throughout history, they always target farmers. And this is because farmers cannot be controlled because they have their own food supply. And in history, the government has tried to control people through food. So even like what's happening in the world right now, people are having their food supply cut off for control reasons to make them submit. And it's happened throughout history. Famines, you think there were natural famines? You think it's because the food just naturally ran out? No, it's because the government cut food off because they wanted people to starve, so they would submit to the government. And it's going to happen very, very soon. And Bill Gates is going to have a massive part to play in this because he's buying off farmland. He's buying farmland off the farmers. He's offering them a massive sum of money where they, have to really think about it because it's so much money, like probably millions. They have to think about it because they know that money will be able to sustain them for their entire life, and they can pass it on to their children, even grandchildren at this point, because of how much money that they were offered by Bill Gates. And so it's very hard to turn down such an offer. And he knows that that's happening. And so the farmers are, unfortunately giving up this land that they were using as farmland to, have cattle and grow crops, and natural organic farms are being shut down by Bill Gates. He's buying off the farmland and he's going to use this land to make fake food, genetically modified food, engineered food, which isn't real food, which doesn't really have many nutrients in it, in order to sustain us. And we're going to get very, very, very sick very, very quickly with the food he is proposing that we eat. And then he knows what he's doing, because when we get sick, we depend on Big Pharma. We depend on medications to make us better, instead of realizing we can actually cure ourselves with food. But people don't know this. And so they go to Big Pharma for medication for all of the issues that have been caused by bad diet. And then he has massive shares in Big Pharma. Like, he has shares in so many medications. If you look into what he's put his money into, it's crazy. And so when we go to medications to get better, to heal our diseases, which are caused by bad food that he's made, he's going to get money from Big Pharma because we are depending on that to get better. So all the money's going to him. He knows exactly what he's doing. He's incredibly intelligent. And this is all a business plan for him and a way to control people, because he has a massive issue with the fact that we are overpopulated, which isn't actually true. And if you look at what Elon Musk has to say about overpopulation, he says we're actually going to be massively underpopulated soon and we should have more babies, which is what I believe as well. But Bill Gates seems to think we are overpopulated and he wants to get the population down. So why would you trust someone who has this obsession with getting the population down with your health and with your food? Like, it makes no sense. People are really not thinking about this properly.
Me, they're the great guys. These are the people
me
that
too,
have to
man.
defend. That's our backbone. They are our backbone. That's why I flew to Netherlands from Mexico. I mean, that's how important this is.
Okay, so what have you discovered on the ground there? You've been talking to farmers. Tell us, first of all, tell us about how the protests were organized, what their scope is, and why the farmers are doing this and what they hope to accomplish.
Well, the farmers in Netherlands are amazingly cognizant of what's happening. Many people that I talk with around the world don't realize, these other things like the WEF, WEF and these sorts of things. But the Dutch farmers are talking about it in detail. They're like, the nitrogen is nonsense, and it's all about Klaus Schwab and Bill Gates is trying to do this, and they'll go into great detail. They know exactly what's happening. They're trying to take our land because of this, and that, and the other. And, they know it. They're not just like in Panama, it's another story. Panama is just like, give us cheap gas, give us cheap cheese, cheap this and cheap that, and we'll go home, right? They're easily satisfied. Not the Dutch farmers. They're more sophisticated. These are serious players here. And again, that's why I jumped on an airplane. If people like this are blocking streets around Netherlands, and we got the German farmers joining up with them, and they're blocking the border together, German and Dutch farmers, right? Polish farmers. I love Poland. I spent 2 years there. Polish farmers are making videos in support of Dutch farmers. That's how much look, that started in Canada, jumped over to the United States. It's over here now. I mean, it's really growing. This courage is spreading. And so, and you see Italian farmers, Spanish farmers, people are rising up. And the more they realize what's actually happening, because, the man behind the curtain is the WEF, the World Economic Forum. Of course, we're going to have to deal with China. But at this rate, look, if Germany falls from these energy issues, which is looking pretty likely at this point, China is going to peel off the rock too, right? As are we economically, right? So,
for sure. Yeah, we cannot sustain the collapse of Germany. That's absolutely 100% obvious. That would be an utter bloody catastrophe.
If Germany collapses, EU's gone, right? For a while, right? And I mean, the EU will probably dissolve. That's my guess. I don't know. We'll see when time unfolds. But obviously, that'll take our economies with it, and China, right? And Japan. And of course, Japan imports 60, 70%. All these island nations and island state like Hawaii that import, 90% of their food imported, right? They are going to be in for a world of hurt. Japan imports most of its food. And, some of these countries that I have to, and I kind of, I should say, maybe insulted the French for a while years ago and saying, why are they defending all these small farmers all the time? Now I see the French wisdom. These small farmers, that resilience and these small, when you go to France and I'm sure you've been to France. And their small farmers everywhere provide a great deal of resilience, right? And that's why in Netherlands, if they lose, these farmers are vital for that. They're as important as their army. I mean, without these farmers, you're somebody else's, you're in somebody else's pocket. Bill Gates, the World Economic Forum.
Yeah, we're in for a treat, guys. As you can tell from the video, we are in for a treat. The World Economic Forum are going to completely take over our lives. Or so they think. Hopefully, as he was saying, hopefully the farmers rise up and then everyone else just follows suit. If something doesn't make sense, I hope people call it out. I really pray that we do all rise up to this, because if we don't, we are in for we're in for tyranny basically, and there's going to have to be a revolution to reverse that. Hopefully we get to a place where we stand up before it happens, so we don't have to have a revolution which is all bloody and, men having to lose their lives to try and protect humanity. But yeah, this is definitely a war between good and evil. And yeah, I do believe that we will win in the end, but it will take a lot of standing up and fighting. That's for sure. Anyway, this has been very interesting. I actually I feel more hopeful, surprisingly. People probably will watch that and think we're fucked, but I do actually feel hope hearing that the farmers are rising up and all coming together worldwide. I think that's amazing, and we need more of it. Definitely. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a like and comment down below what your views on this are, because it's happening, and I feel like there is a mass awakening happening at the moment, so I'm really glad about that. If you have anything to say, please comment down below and let me know what you think on the topics that were discussed in this video, and please subscribe for more content like this. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video.